Yeah.
Einstein, remember to use your brain.
Say hi to everybody on YouTube. We're live.
Hi, everybody on YouTube.
Hi. So you're frozen on my side with Albert Einstein in front of your face. So
That's all
That's
right.
hot, really.
That's
how we
really
roll.
hot. Yeah.
I froze it on purpose. I want
Oh my
everyone to
God.
see
Now
Albert.
streaming. All right, we're streaming live on YouTube. So it's me getting really used to the YouTube and also live radio. Are we starting live radio already, Benny? Or are we
Not yet. I'll give you the cue. Stand by.
All righty. There we go. But we're live on YouTube. So we need to behave. Just a little.
All right, I'm gonna send you the feed. Here we go. Stand by.
All right. Woohoo! We are live. It's been a while. Oh my God. Benny, hi.
Hi there, everybody. Hello, Sue. How are you? Welcome back.
Oh, I love I'm kind of feeling like I'm in the studio, but not really. I need to get like
Virtually.
Yeah, virtually. Yeah.
Staying safe. Social distancing cues in effect. That's how we roll.
Yeah. Okay. So for all of you, I'm getting used to. Benny's laughing at me
Because you are. You're somewhere else.
Yes, and
Yeah.
we will talk about that. Thank you for that monitoring or whatever I was trying to say. But it is live radio and it's also YouTube, and I'm on video watching, and I've got hand signals. So Benny, what's the YouTube channel in case people are wanting that? Is it?
Well, you started it off perfectly. YouTube, we'll start there. And then
Okay.
you just type in
1150
KKNW. Yeah,
Okay.
and you'll find our channel and make it happen. And with that, you just got to go, crazy. Just because.
Oh!
Jess liked that one too. She's ready to go clubbing.
I love it. Yes, we have the wonderful soul sister Jess Bubbico, and of course Benny, our wonderful producer, right here today. And I'm really excited because it's live radio. I've had a lot going on over the last couple months, and I'm going to get the feel of we've got quite a bit to talk about with discernment, and there's power behind staying in that heightened awareness and teaching yourself about self-regulating and discerning, whether it's 3D or we're talking about the spirit realm and that conversation as well. So with that, I just want to remind all of you, this is Sue Lundquist. And of course, this is KKNW, 1150 AM KKNW. You can find my information at SueLundquist.com. If you would like to get the online C2C course, it's SueLundquist.com / the letter C, the number 2, the letter C. And you can get online training, which is super good. It's all about self-regulating and mindset hacks and tools and good juicy things. Today, of course, like any other show, it's new perspective, new thoughts, new ideas, which ultimately translates into a new you. It's you, just version 2.0. And I love saying that because it's just fun. Miss Jess Bubbico, hi, baby.
Hi. I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Because I really wanted to have a conversation. Well, of course, the superstar intuitive that you are, but more than that, discernment with real life, and then discernment in the spiritual realm, and figuring out the self-regulating, what's really happening inside of me, and especially with everything kind of going on in the world, right? Yeah.
Totally.
So tell the world who you are, Miss Jess Bubbico.
Yes, I would say I'm loving seeing Benny on here too. I know we just lost him probably for connection purposes, but
no. I'm sorry. I just turned off because it's Sue. It's your guys' show. I don't need.
I know, but I like seeing him too.
I know, but it's the changing on when it goes online. So yeah, it's between you.
I hear you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Benny, you always look young, but you look younger and more spry than ever. And also
Stop.
you do but I'm just like, Benny, your head is glowing. I don't know what it is. I love it.
Oh, I love it.
Just me, little heart there.
Mm-hmm.
Now y'all got to join on YouTube. We're getting really nutty and crazy, but I love it. Miss Jess.
All right. So I will introduce myself. My name is Jess Bubbico, and my business is called Jess the Intuitive. I love helping people wake up to their intuition, and more so than wake up to their intuition, wake up to themselves, wake up to their true selves. So I'm super excited to be here with you today to talk about discernment, whether it's intuitive discernment, self-regulation. I think these are incredibly important topics right now. For anybody who wants to check out more about what I do, you can head over to jesstheintuitive.com, or you can find me over on Instagram at jesstheintuitive. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about all of the things today: intuition, human design, self-regulation, all the things. So I'm super excited to be here.
All of it, because I think, and you'll probably agree with that, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not going to speak for you, but sometimes we might do that together because we're soul sisters. But what I was saying is all of these different modalities, you've got to try them on and see what fits right for you. They're all tools. They're all for getting clear and figuring stuff out, whether it's 3D or 5D. It's all just, it's tools, right? And you figure out what feels right to you. And with that, I want to talk, I'm going to start off with the true definition, like, of discernment and love and trust versus contraction. You know, discernment in the process of thinking, am I making the right choice? And am I pushing, am I forcing the contracted energy? Am I surrendering and letting Gus, the powers that be, the intuition, the faith, take over, and really just taking that leap of faith? And I'm going to have a conversation about that leap of faith and the new beloved grasshopper in my life. But before that, and I'm kind of teasing you a little bit because it's such a good story. So really quick, discernment is the ability to judge well, being able to grasp and comprehend what is the obscure. So if we're talking obscure, which is not discoverable, not known, unclear, uncertain, in doubt, that's the obscure. But the obscure can also be related to a 5D conversation too, because it's a lot of the unknown. It could be with 3D as well, because there's a lot of unknown in our regular 3D world. So going back again, and it's really important that we have the awareness in the conversation of what these definitions truly mean, what discernment means, unclear, all of that. So discernment, in the case within judgment, discernment goes past the mere perception of something and making nuanced judgments, its property and its quality. So basically it's the unknown, it's the obscure. You're going into the unknown. Again, going to the conversation with spirit, I'll do that. And then Jess, you can take the helm with that. But with 5D, it's internal regulations, it's internal senses, the clairs, whatever those may be. There could be an external tool, the human design that you use, but you also can tap in and discern what's going on with the internal senses, the internal guides. But with all of that, regardless if it's 3D or 5D, you've got to be really clear on who you are and what senses are coming up. Because if all of a sudden, and this, I've used this analogy for years, I was doing a healing on a black lab, and you know, it's like the mother thing that you do this, the baby's crying, or the father thing, you know, the baby's crying, you're like, all right, change diaper, because they can't communicate. Their way of communicating is, you know, crying. Where I'm going with this is self-regulating. So I was on my way to do a healing with a black lab, and I felt horrible. I felt nauseated. I felt sick. And I'm like, self-check-in, awareness, self-regulate. Did I eat? What did I eat? Am I, you know, what's going on in my body? Sure enough, I go into the house, and I had already tapped into the energy of the black lab. He had been sick, vomiting, diarrhea all night. And I was picking up on that energy. So in that example, it's the discernment between a dog's energy, a fur baby's energy, and my energy, and discerning between what is mine and what isn't, or what is his, or what could be a message that's coming through. So with that spiritual conversation, that intuition conversation, I'd like you to take the helm and have, kind of dissect that a little bit, have that conversation. And then we're going to roll more into like a 3D analogy and conversation, because we both have examples on both sides, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love this conversation for so many reasons. I believe that I used to, I was thinking before we got on this call today about how even just during coronavirus and taking time to go inward, because over the past 6 months, I've been with family. And so I've been sort of in this little bubble of, I was traveling, and then just like so many people's stories, you were doing one thing and now you were doing something completely opposite of that. Just like here in Colorado, yesterday was 90 degrees. Today it's 30 and snowing, and it's craziness.
I
So
saw
it's like
that. I was like, what?
crazy.
I know, Benny. It's snowing in Colorado.
But Mother Nature knows what she needs, because we have horrible fires that are happening here with like over 125 acres of land burning. And so thank you, Mother Nature, even though there's this extreme, this sort of like flip flop from one thing to the next, it's necessary, needed, and very healing. So kind of like same thing with coronavirus. I was thinking this morning about how coming in and sort of being in the capsule of family all shifted my discernment in many ways, and shifted the way that I understand discernment in a lot of ways as well for myself, because there is each of us, I think truly, like you said, we need to know ourselves, and we need to know ourselves in the now. This isn't like figure yourself out for the rest of your life, because with every season and every cycle, there are changes, and who Jess was a year ago has shifted and changed and is a little bit different today, right? Who Sue was a year ago has shifted and changed, is different than today. And then we shift to, 2021, Sue and Jess will be different iterations of Sue and Jess. And so there's this level of mindfulness that has to come with making a decision to be present in your day-to-day life, and be present to your own energy, and present to who you are, and present within your own physical body, mental body, emotional body, and spiritual body that can support you in and having that level of discernment. So as you were talking about the Black Lab and going to see the Black Lab, something that I teach and I do for myself is every single morning I wake up and I go into meditation, and I connect with me, and I connect with my energy. And that goes two ways. Before coronavirus, BC, before coronavirus,
Yeah.
I was, a lot of my energy was so up and out of my body. It was super easy to connect with the spiritual realm, to get on an airplane, to be like, I'm good here, let me go to the next place. And what coronavirus did for me, I guess, AC after corona, I guess, or DC during coronavirus, is like, it's this level of having to get present to the physical body, present to the now, present to the here and now, as opposed to being just able to be up and out of my body and following spirit in that spiritual realm, where that self-regulation piece, which I'm really excited for us to talk about today, self-regulating emotions, self-regulating how you feel, has allowed me to integrate not just that intuitive information, but also create, honestly, healing in my environment, healing in my relationships, deeper connections with other people, and deeper connections with myself. So as you were talking about the Black Lab, it's like, okay, it's easy to be up and out of my body and to be feeling what's coming, but to be able to meditate, to ground in. I think about those, for anybody who knows the chakra, those lower three energy centers of the body, to ground into the present moment, to be here, to know what it feels like to be Jess, to be in her emotional body, or in her mental body, her physical body, and be here, and to know what triggers might be coming up. Oh, I'm in an Airbnb. Am I, where might I go after this? Am I stressed about going back to where I was, which I'm not, but am I stressed about going back to where I was? Am I, excited about going back to where I was? All of these different things that we need to be aware of in our lives, these very 3D tangible things that I think it's very important to be aware of, that maybe need healing, need attention, in order for us to really be able to integrate that 5D intuitive next step information that's coming through. Because if we don't allow ourselves to learn how to self-regulate, to understand our triggers, to understand our pain, it can just be very easy to sort of disassociate from this 3D reality or jump the gun or try to
Oh
go
gosh.
quickly when we're really needing to. I think of it like the golden spiral is just the upper and the lower, that integration of both.
Well, yeah, but in going back to it, brilliant, Jess, thank you. But also going back to what you were saying, denial. There's just denial, flat out just denial, or we are so overwhelmed, overloaded, like the majority of the world is. It's far easier to just be in denial or victimhood, even though you don't know that you're in victimhood. There's a lot of that you're not aware that you're not taking accountability or responsibility because you're giving away said power, meaning my personal power, diminishing yourself and making choices based on fight or flight, fear, doubt, all of that, or somebody else's opinion. And that's how we're kind of wrapping around, because you have to have that clarity of self and that self-love. Now, is it straight line? Absolutely not. You've got left and right swiggles, and you're going to go left and right all the time. And I guess what I'm saying is, and what I hear Jess saying also, and it is truly knowing who you are and staying in that state of awareness, self-love, that you're not going to diminish yourself and you're not going to make choices based on somebody else's opinion, based on an external experience that may be popping up at you. Meaning you almost, somebody runs a red light and you almost get hit. You're not going to be affected. You're going to be like, oh my God, thank you so much. Instead of having that fight or flight response, how about go into gratitude and love? There's a big difference in that, and a huge change in frequency as well. You're not in fight or flight and fear. You're in love and trust and going, okay, there was a reason for all of that. Thank you. So back to, I want to go into the conversation about having the awareness. So if we are in a situation like now, we talked about the actual definition of discernment, and we talked about discernment kind of going into the obscure or the unknown, and being able to self-regulate within the obscure, the unknown. Again, discernment. So I'm in 5D, and I'm going to use my example. I've got multiple, but there are perfect examples of times in your life where you are completely contracted. I'm going to use me right now, for example, and Jess, please use you, because we all learn from those examples, right? Yeah. I was in a situation back home, and I think I've made this public knowledge, but I don't know that I have. But I was with somebody for 22, 23 years. We have divorced and separated. We've got 3 kids. All of this is and was and currently is a beautiful journey. And I love the family that we created. With that, there came a lot of opportunities for me to discern what triggers were coming up for me, moving forward, taking those leaps of faith in the midst of the whole uprising of Black Lives Matter, COVID, so many other things that the external environment is saying, hunker in, stay home, be safe, you're in fear, you've got to do this, because of a fear-based mentality and an external environment. Did I make that clear?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here going, Mama 3, I got to make some life choices. They're not going to be publicly really well taken unless you know me, meaning society says, nope, the mom's got to stay there. They've got to do the, the cooking and the this and the that's, and I say mom, and you could be a father and a mother, whatever that looks like. I'm saying from my perspective, and some of them were my triggers too, and being able to overcome the feelings, the sadness, the triggers, the doubts. Oh my God, the doubts, the fears, the shame, the mom guilt, all of that, to reclaim my life, reclaim and not diminish myself based on society's guidelines, what the environment is telling me, what the government is supposedly telling me. P.S. I don't watch the news, but I also have to stay in somewhat of the known of what's happening out there. Where I'm going with this is all based on the conversation between discernment. So discernment in the umbrella of your life choices versus, are you going to diminish yourself? Are you going to stay in fear? Or are you going to take that leap of faith, love and trust, leap of faith? I mean, a full out leap of faith. And that could be translated into 3D or 5D. I just happen to be talking about a 5D situation. Yeah. So I was coming down to the wire and I had to get out of this house that I was in, and I was contracted energy. And I'm like, I'm going to move here and I'm going to go there. And I was trying to find places. And what was I doing? I was going here and there and rushing and scared and fear and all of that. And I'm like, oh, look at you. Mm-hmm. Look at you. You're not in your body. You're in fear. You're in shame. You're in doubt. And you're running around like a little, chasing rabbits, it was a really good lesson in discerning for me what crazy energy versus grounded Sue energy. And then as fate would have it, I actually had an intuitive reading and we talked about some real practical things. And I'm going to say this because your home is wherever you place it to be, right? And that was important for me to hear, especially being a mom of 3 daughters, and they're all grown and out of the house, but still. And there was some other really nice validating conversations within that. And then I get off the phone, I go for a run, and I'm thinking about my move, and I'm jogging along, and I'm like, all right, Gus, if you need me to hear, if there's got to be a strong message, if you've got a message for me, you've got to make it pretty big. I'm listening. So my agreement is I'll be in awareness. You give me the message. I'll be in awareness to hear what you're having the message to be or what you're saying. So I go on my run. I had this reading. I'm running on my normal, you've been up on Hollywood Hill. There's this route that I always go. And I was literally on the left side of this dirt. There was a road and then dirt, and I'm on the dirt because of running. And all of a sudden this deer pops out onto the road, a female deer. And I'm like, okay, note to self. I mean, this is out of nowhere, of course. Note to self, I'm going to go look up the spiritual meaning of what the deer means, because everything has an opportunity. There's a modality, there's a learning experience and all of that. I'm like, okay, so I'll check. Go down to my car where I've parked for years and done this run. I look at my windshield, not the windshield, but the driver door where the door and the windshield collide, where it comes down. And there's a little grasshopper sitting right there going, hello. Never had that before. Now, could I totally go into fear and doubt and shame and go, oh yeah, whatever. No, because my heart is open. I'm in awareness, and I truly and genuinely have the faith that that is a message for me, right? That's another discernment. It's another tool. And I go back and I look up what the grasshopper meant, and I look up what the deer meant. And all in all, it was trusting your intuition, having self-love and self-care for yourself. The grasshopper is taking that leap of faith. And the deer is, and Spirit's message was, we've got your back. Take that leap of faith. A grasshopper always leaps forward, never sideways, and certainly never backwards. And I'm like, wow, I love it. Love it. So I was on, and, I was searching for a home, right? I was searching for a place to live. And this is important conversation because we get so wrapped up in the fear and the shame and the doubt of it. And there's a reason why I just surrendered and I let it go. And I'm like, there was literally a liberation of energy that happened in my body. I just was like, all right, I'm taking that leap of faith. Spirit gave me the message, Gus, whatever, chopsticks, whatever it is for you guys, right? And I'm taking that leap of faith. They're showing me the signs. I'm going to go. So I ended up getting on an airplane and flying to a location, and I this was I was in such grace and ease the whole time. And that's again, another discernment. If you're contracted and scared and unsure, then it's not the right choice, right? That is the balancing act and the self-regulating in 3D that we talk about, right? So I get to the location and I'm like, I just rented a regular little car, and I get to the counter and I'm like, what you got? How about we do something fun? What you got? And he's like, all right, let's do this. And he's like, are you afraid to speed? And I'm like, no. And Benny, right? So, and now I can't remember. Anyways, he's like,
someone's caught up on our tickets, that's for sure.
No tickets. No tickets.
I'm kidding.
No tickets. So he's like, well, and it was a brand new Charger. I think a Charger, or it was a sports car thing. Anyways, it was super sexy.
Sports car thing. I love it.
Thing.
I know there's some people out there like, oh my God, that's their dream car. I don't want to do that to them. But so here's another, that was me in open abundance. And, we're talking, the whole conversation is about the discernment. And I'm like, all right, abundance, here we go. Leap of faith, here we go. And of course, being 6 foot tall, shrinking just a little, I get into the car and I have to put the seat back. And Jess, you and I had this conversation, and I look down and there is a lucky penny on where I put the seat back. And it's not only a US penny, folks, it's a penny from the UK, 1941 special. There's all kinds of messages in there. And then Jess and I went and looked up what the bird meant on the back. And there's this whole Celtic spirituality that was giving me a massive message with that. And and where I'm going with this, it just kept going and going and going. And that was me taking the leap of faith, understanding and discerning that, I'm in the unknown. I asked for spirit to give me guidance and messages. And then my job in 5D was to slow down, be in my body and listen instead of being in fight or flight. So with that, we're going to come back with another conversation around that as soon as we take a break. And about 3 minutes, we're going to come back. Right, Benny? 3 minutes-ish? All right. So with that, Sue Lundquist here with the Gratitude Cafe. If you guys have missed us, we're also on live radio, but we're also on YouTube. So hi, everybody to YouTube. We're going to do a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
Okay, all clear. And we're still live on YouTube. Just let everybody know.
Hey, first off, Sue, hey, YouTubers. Sue, I would love to talk about fantasy versus imagination, which is something that I've been working with through I'm taking a Tantra class right now, Tantra for Life class. So I would love to talk about that. I think that could be really helpful. And then I was just thinking too, I also have cards. I have cards right here. So I don't know if during our commercial break, we could do a little thing where I have the spirit animal cards. So maybe we can just do, if whoever's watching on YouTube wants to pick card 1 or card 2, and I
pick card 2.
You pick card 2. Okay. So let's just kind of shuffle so I'm using Colette Baron Reed's
Spirit Animal. Those cards.
I bought these because you have them, and I came to Seattle and did the show with you live. So whoever is tuning in from YouTube,
we're doing live, baby.
We're going to pick card 1 or card 2. So I want you to just focus as I shuffle the deck today on picking card 1 or card 2 for yourself. Just kind of hold your intention or your question in your heart of what it is that you want to ask the cards or receive through the cards.
So what she means by this audience that's listening, she's going to pull 2 cards, and then which number you picked, whether it's 1 or 2, like you picked 1, I picked 2, that is the message that you most needed to hear for the day.
Thank you, Sue.
You're welcome, love.
Okay. So card number 1 is here. Okay. It's the koi fish spirit. So I don't know if you can see that here. And the message of the koi fish spirit is there's always enough. There's always enough. So anybody who's in sort of scarcity or questioning whether they have enough, whether they are enough, etc., your message for today is there is always enough. And I'm going to just expand on this one, which is you are always enough as well.
I love that message, especially talking about discernment too, and being in who you are. I love this. I love this. So in love.
Card number 2, if we have time to read, I don't know that we have enough time for me to read the whole thing, but card number 2, Fox Spirit. Think on your
I know this, Fox Spirit. Yes.
Yep. Think on your feet, right? A fox is sly. It's got to think on its feet. It's got to go. It's clever. Foxes are clever. Oh, I love it. I love that you have yours too. So the message for anyone who picked card number 2 is think on your feet today. Embrace your cleverness, your ability to even think outside of the box, whether it's a challenging situation or something in your life you're needing to look at from a different perspective. Think on your feet today.
Ooh, brilliant. I love that. And that goes great with the whole conversation about discernment and what we're talking about in self-regulating, because we were talking about the ability to judge well of the unknown. The unknown could be 3D or 5D. Yep. I love it. Meaning, 5D, the Gus, the intuition, the internal gauge, the internal dialogue, the internal frequencies, right? Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
So differences between fantasy and, I almost said reality, but you said something else.
Fantasy and imagination.
Thank you. Yep, we're ready.
All right, stand by.
Mountains and I rise up, I rise like the day, I rise unafraid, I rise.
Oh, Benny, that's beautiful, love. Oh, rise up, my brothers and sisters. Yes. Okay, so before break, I kind of went a little long-winded about the conversation, or not even the conversation, but the conversation within myself. And the whole radio show today is about discernment. Why is it important? Because you need to self-regulate, stay in awareness versus contracted energy versus fear versus shame. Knowing your body and being very clear, knowing yourself, more your body, your mind, spirit, all of that, knowing yourself, being clear on who that really is, that essence of you, my language, that get very clear on that essence of you. And even when I coach this, and Jess will say, we live this, but still we will find ourselves in that contracted fear, shame, guilt, because we have our own internal stuff that we're dealing with, right? And that's 5D reality, old triggers, past relationships, diminishing, society, whatever that is, right? And that was my example before we left. And I took a massive, massive leap of faith. And I am in a completely, I'm in a completely different state. I moved, I completely moved my whole life, bought a brand new, beautiful home, and Jess is coming and I cannot wait because I'm getting it all ready. I'll probably put you to work, but it's beautiful and I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So for all of you, I was debating if I was going to say anything, but I guess I'm going to. So I have a big, beautiful home in Bend, Oregon, and I am so happy. And it's beautiful. It's still an adjustment and I'm still learning all of that. And, I was talking about discernment and grace and ease and love and trust. And I had all those symbols. And then when I literally, the whole house thing happened so serendipitously. And then I was concerned about my daughters and they're all going, well, 2 out of the 3 are at Wazoo. And I was like, well, how, I was concerned about them coming to visit and all that. And I get to the airport, on the tarmac is the plane on, and it's all decked out in Wazoo.
Yeah, go
everything Cougs. On the, I know, Ben, I know. And I had asked a girlfriend who's been living here for a while, and she's like, I've never seen a Wazoo plane. And I'm like, well, I'm taking that as a really good message. No, on that tarmac, when she was flying in and out, whatever. I'm taking that as a my leap of faith for my girls. And anyway, so they'll fly in and out of here and everything's good to go. During the break, we pulled some cards. So if you want to see the cards that we pulled, please go back, go on to YouTube, and you can find 11:50 a.m. KKNW, and you'll see the cards that we pulled. And you pick number 1 or number 2, feel into that, and then Jess will give you the definition of the card and see how that resonates with you. It was super good stuff. So go back, check that out during the break. We had talked about discernment. Discernment is another opportunity for you to check in with yourself. It is you checking in with the obscure, the unknown, whether it's 3D or 5D. And I think right here, right now in 5D, it's a really important conversation to be having, and being able to self-regulate and not diminish yourself or be affected by your choices from your external environment based on other people's reality, right? And discerning what truly feels right to you. And there were 2 questions that when I was doing a Zoom coaching call, and it's, is this true? Is this true for me? Is this really true for me? And genuinely going in and asking that question to yourself, does this really feel true to me? And if it doesn't, then that's okay. And if it does, then that's okay too. You're discerning, you're self-regulating, you're getting very clear on who you are. You're putting on that hat of discernment, that hat of Jess, that hat of Sue, that hat of Benny, whoever that is. You're trying things on, and that is so okay. No shame, no guilt, just love and trust. So Jess, during the break, you had wanted to talk about the difference between fantasy and imagination. I'm totally curious how this is going to go in with discernment and all of that. I'm totally curious.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to say congratulations on your big move and your house. It is so incredibly excited, and I'm very excited for your new beginning. So thank you for sharing that with all of us.
You're welcome.
And I want to talk about fantasy versus imagination, because this is something that I have been learning from one of my teachers. I've been taking some Tantra classes through Tantra NYC. It's all online. And something that she speaks about is my teacher, her name is Lauren Harkness, and she speaks about fantasy versus imagination. And this was a game changer for me when it comes to discernment, as I am looking at you. You spoke about when you were trying to make the decision of like, do I stay in this one place for all of these reasons?
Yep.
Or do I go to this new place and try something new?
And have no idea. It's the unknown, right?
It's the unknown. And the reason I love the conversation of fantasy versus imagination is because fantasy, when we look at fantasy, for so many people, fantasy can be birthed out of pain and fear of everything that could go wrong, or fear or lack. And when there's this feeling of lack, fantasy can come from, I've got to fill this hole in this gap of lack in order to make myself feel safe and secure. Because I think at the end of the day, as humans, we're always looking to feel safe and secure. And so I'm going to use your move as an example, and I'm going to add in details that you did not say, but I'm going to use this as an example, just so everyone knows I'm not referencing things that are actually true for your life. I'm just using this move as an example. So fantasy can be birthed out of lack, fear, scarcity, and it's looking for safety and can be looking for safety and security through external things. Okay. Imagination is birthed out of knowing yourself.
Oh, I love this.
So I'm going to give you an example. So Sue, sorry, my mail is popping up. Sorry, everyone. Sue is wanting to move. And let's say, so when we come into fantasy, let's say there's 2 things that happen for you in terms of fantasizing and creating this imagery in your mind and this dream and this fantasy about your move. Okay. Fantasizing, number 1, could be, my girls are going to feel, if I stay, the three of us are going to be super close. We're going to have Sunday dinners. They're going to come over every single week. We're going, right? It's this fantasy of what your idea of safety and security and family is.
Yep.
And maybe it's because
so brilliant. Yes.
Yeah, because your family growing up didn't do that. There was no family dinner, there was no connection, and everyone fought. So as a result of that, there is this deep desire in yourself to patch this hole of, my family was not perfect. They didn't love each other. So now I'm going to go create it with my family. And what happens as a result of that is there becomes this trying to fix this. If you think of Mickey Singer, Mickey Singer, The Untethered Soul, he talks about the thorn. And he says, when I have pain, it's like having a thorn in my body. And as a result of having that thorn, instead of facing the pain and going, I'm really sad that my family was not a family growing up, I'm going to put, a contraption over it so nothing ever touches the thorn and I never have to feel the pain. So for you in particular, let's say, for example, it could be, I have this pain that my family wasn't a family. And so in order to not feel that pain, I'm going to fantasize about the family I'm going to create to sort of make up for that lack, right?
Oh, totally.
And so it's, instead of dealing with that pain, you're now trying to, for example, control your daughters, make them come over for Sunday dinner, make everyone be close, make all of these things happen in order to not feel the pain.
Yep. Contracted energy. Yes. Yes.
Contracted energy, but it's fantasizing and it feels amazing. But what happens is then you are disappointed because the girls don't come over for Sunday dinner. They all move away and all of these things happen. And so now you're left to deal with this pain, this thorn.
Fantasy based on expectations of what you think it should be.
Yes.
Yep. I love that.
So let's take it even to, I think of it a lot with dating and relationship as I want to date. Right. So, I'm ready to date. So for me, if it's, let's say, for example, we look at masculine relationship for dating, right? And I'm pretty sure my dad is listening to this. So Dad, if you're here listening, this is just an example, not a truth. Let's say, for example,
all of this is an example. Yeah.
Well, I have a great dad, but let's say, for example, my dad never spent time with me. Right.
Yeah.
And the only way I ever got love and attention from my dad was if I talked to him about cars and financial planning. Right. And so when I needed love, I went to him to be like, hey, Dad, I'm wanting love and attention. And the only way I know how to get that from you is through talking about cars and finances. So I'm going to go and talk to you about that, but I really just want a hug and someone to love me. Right. And so then I go back into my room as a 10-year-old kid, finances and cars. I don't know why you talk about that at 10, but
it's all good. Somebody needed to hear that.
Somebody needed to hear that. Let's say I do that. I might go into my room and fantasize about gosh, I just wish my dad could love me. And a dad who loves me, shows me love is he hugs me and he embraces me and we talk about our feelings and all this stuff. Right. So now my guide for when I want to go create a relationship with someone is don't ever talk about finances or cars to me because it's a pain point. Right? I don't want to talk about finances. I don't want to talk about anything because it's a pain point for me. So I just want this romantic Lothario man who can show up, but he also has that same pain around we're attracting this person. We're fantasizing about, I want this fantasy. I want this thing, right? In order to, not feel a pain that we feel so we fantasize about something. And then this is where discernment could start to go out the window I have a gut feeling about something, but this Lothario man is showing up out in front of me. I want to move to Bend, Oregon. I want to move away, but this one random weird Sunday, all of my girls decided to get together and sit and have dinner with me. And so as a result of that, I want to stay. And then I don't trust my intuition because I have a fantasy about something different than what is in the here and now. So then I'm not going to make a decision. I'm not going to follow my intuition. I'm not going to follow the sign because this thing showed up, right?
And
the
it made
bottom
me feel
line
safe
is,
and secure based on my expectation of what I wanted it to look and feel like. Yeah.
exactly. And so this is where I think true acceptance of what is in that moment. And it's funny, Sue, I was gonna, I picked a card. I kind of like, oh my God, hilarious. I'll show you what they are in a second. But I picked a card. I was like, what do we need to talk about? It was like grace and gratitude. It was the turkey spirit.
Of course it was.
Yeah, it's like have grace and gratitude in the moment for the fact that your daughters came and had dinner on Sunday and that was your fantasy, right? It was something that you wanted. So have grace and gratitude that it happened, right? You know, maybe it's that I want to
and discern, and this is important. So have grace and gratitude and be in that moment. It literally be in that moment of love and gratitude, but also be in that moment knowing thyself, the imagination versus fantasy, thinking that this is based, I'm going to make choices now based on expectation of my safety and security because they're sitting there having dinner with me. Don't change your plans based on the imagination or the expectation that you have based from fear or shame, looking for that safety and security, right?
Yeah. And I think to what you just said, it's don't, and I'm going to talk about imagination in a second, because this is the other side of the coin. Don't abandon the plan because the fantasy came true. And I see this happen a lot for women who are in relationship with someone. Oh, I love that you're writing it down. Remind me of what I just said later. Don't abandon your intuition, your imagination, and where your intuition is leading you because the fantasy came true. So for example, a woman who is going, I'm ready to leave my partner. This was a codependent relationship. It is no longer, it's just not working anymore. And all of the signs are showing me it's not working. You know, I'm blooming and blossoming in this way. This relationship's no longer here. And the day that you decide, and the big part of the problem is that your partner will not open up to you about their feelings or ever speak about their feelings. You best believe it's like the day that you make that decision to move in alignment with your imagination, your intuition, your discernment, suddenly they show up and go, I'm ready to open to you and speak about my heart. Don't let that one day and that one moment, that fantasy coming true, keep you there if your intuition and is pulling you another direction because of who you know that you are.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I think the key here is that it's if that person is willing to continue to open and to continue to work on things with you, that might be a different story. But if it's just the one day the fantasy comes true and I'm anchoring into that one day, that one time that the doorway opened and then it slams shut again because it's terrified and it doesn't feel safe, you've got to listen to your intuition.
Oh, brilliant, Miss Jess. Okay. Imagination. You wanted to talk
like I said, this is something that I learned from my Tantra teacher. So I need to, this was my mind was blown because when I was creating and manifesting a lot over the past 2 years, it was out of fantasy. And what happened as a result of that was I learned big lessons that forced me to learn myself and understand what imagination is.
I love this conversation. Well, hang right there. In that, I'm going to noodle right there because I was catching myself. I was in my state of awareness, knowing who I was. I was catching myself going into fantasy of how my life's going to be so different in Bend. And I get this house. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. No, hold up. You don't know that. You're going to go there based on it was quite a leap of faith. There wasn't fantasy. It was just knowing myself, knowing that I was taking a leap of faith and I was staying true to that essence of myself. Even though I was a little unsure of what that even truly was or how it's all going to evolve, there was a massive leap of faith and following my intuition based on my alignment. My alignment isn't completely ironed out. I don't know. And that's okay. That's that leap of faith. That's the trusting and guess and the unknown and the discernment, knowing when I'm doing it, right? That is so, and you just gave me language for it. It's the fantasy versus the imagination. And I love that. Okay, talk about knowing thyself with the imagination. We've got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay, I can do this in 5 minutes. Okay. So imagination comes from everything that you've learned about yourself and what you know about yourself. I'm going to invite anybody who feels called to schedule an intuitive human design reading with me. Head over to jesstheintuitive.com and hit services, book a reading, something like that. It's a tab that either says book a reading or services on my site. I can't remember in this moment, but this has been one of the anchors to help me learn about myself, understand myself, and know who I am, and have something to come back to when the fantasy pulls me away from my pain and wanting something different. Imagination is, what does Sue know about Sue? Like you said, going to Bend, going somewhere new. You're not changing as a human being. You're going to shift and grow and change and evolve as a human once you get there. But who are you is really the question. What do you know about yourself? Imagination pulls together. It's grounded. I know I love writing. So when I get to Bend, I'm going to write, because I feel called to writing. I know that speaking is truly something that is innate to me. It is something that is grounding for me. And so speaking is something that I'm going to bring with me in this next phase of my life where I go. I know that I am somebody, when I think about you, Sue, you're a generator. I know that my energy likes to go, go, go. And I need to expend all of my energy by the end of the day in order to feel like I can sleep well. Bubbico, need more rest than Sue needs. Sue needs to go, go, go. So as you're making your decision, really saying to yourself, when you imagine this next move, right? Sue's imagining this move for herself. She's taking, I know I like to go and be outdoors. And I know that's important to me. And I'm putting this into what I am imagining in my mind's eye for myself. So Sue's thinking somewhere that has something outdoors where I can go and move my energy, right? She's saying to herself, her business, she needs to be able to communicate, right? Like to be able to speak and still do her radio show. So she's imagining, what does it feel like and look like to still do the radio show from somewhere else? Sue knows that being able to travel is important to her, right? So she's going to put herself near an airport. So she's taking these things that she knows about herself and she's imagining what that next step is and calling that next step forth, not based upon fantasy of everything's going to be so much better than it was, but about truly going, here's who I am. And here's the environment that I flourish in, right? Here's a cactus. I'm going to put the cactus in the desert because the cactus flourishes in the desert. Here's some other flower that flourishes, a tree that flourishes in the Amazon. This is the environment it goes into. What does Sue know about Sue? So that when her intuition comes in and goes, hey, it's time to make a move, and this is it. She's like, yeah, this is what I've imagined for myself. This is what I know about me. And here's how I'm going to follow this imagination going forth because it feels rich, juicy, and grounded and true.
Rich, true, authentic, true and authentic. You've really got to be in alignment with that. That is such great discernment. Guys, our whole conversation today, Miss Jess, please go to jesstheintuitive.com. Get a reading from her. Of course, if you want one-on-one coaching, I would love to talk to you. If you want to do my online course, go to SueLundquist.com. You can go in, do a reading. This has been we could totally keep talking for hours. I know this, but Benny's over there going, nope, we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up. So to all of those on YouTube, again, go to jesstheintuitive.com or live on the radio, jesstheintuitive.com. Sue Lundquist, your host here, and SueLundquist.com. /C2C for the course. If you want to work with me, you'll see all the information on the website. Really enjoyed speaking with you today, Benny. I'd love seeing you. Jess, I love you. Let's connect after the show really quick. To all of you, we'll see you next week. I love you guys. Until next time, each of you are a gift. Get out there and share yourself with the world.